Andy, right? Here we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Chaf Vav Meseches Yuma. We're going to get through Mitzvah Shem, couple of Mishnayos. We're going to get to the bottom of the page. So we got to the top of the Mishnah. It says Hapais Ashlishi. We discussed the first two. The first one was basically for the Chumas Hadeshen, the removal of the ashes. Second one was for the morning Tamid. We said there's 13 people, right? Remember that number? It was 4 plus 9. 9 basically from the carrying and onward. The 4 to clean out one menorah, one the mizbech haprimi, another one to shchita, another one to the zrika. So there was 4 plus 9. That was 13. That was the first two. Now here's the third one. Zok the Mishnah. 3 lines from the top. The third pais was only Kohanim who never had the opportunity yet to go ahead and do the Ketores. There was a separate lottery just for those people for the Ketores. Right, Ketores, we'll soon see, was a big zechus skula for wealth, and therefore they wanted to basically to spread the wealth. Bo v'pisu. They came and they did the pies. So the new people came for the Ketores. They came, they did the pies and Haravi. And then the fourth one, the final one is Chadashim, Imeshanim. Then not only the new people, also the old people, Ma'ala Evarim Mina Kevesh Lemizbech, who would go ahead and bring the limbs from the ramp to the Mizbech. So according to this, we'll soon see this Machloikas. They would bring the limbs from the Shechita after they would perform it, and they would cut up, they would skin it and cut it up, and then bring it towards the Mizbech. They would leave it on the ramp. They would place it there, and then the question was, who took it from the ramp? Was it the same Kohanim, or over here, our Mishnah seems to hold that there was a new lottery as to go ahead. Okay, now we need new people to go ahead and carry up all the limbs from the ramp to the Mizbeach. Fine. Zok the Gemara, Satana, Adam, but no one ever did the Ketores twice. My time was the reason I'm today Shema Sheres. Because it would makes one wealthy, and therefore they wanted to go ahead and they gave everyone the opportunity. And Amalei probably by my time, what's the reason? Because the pasuk says that you place the Ketores, and later on it says Hashem will bless them. So in other words, so we see that Ketores is associated with the blessing. The Ola is written actually right after the pasuk, right after the Ketores. It mentions the Ola, and then it says Hashem Berach, right? So Hashem or Berach Hashem. So the Ola should be included in the special skula for Ashiras, right? Haksiv klal v'chalil al mizbechacha. It says over there, right, that it will be completely consumed on the mizbeach. So shouldn't the Ola have the same effect as the Ketores, as a special incense? Amalei. Right, the Olo, there are multiple Olos brought a day, right? So therefore, it wasn't as common for it to be done. So therefore, since there was something that was done often in a day, therefore, it doesn't necessarily have the same effect as the Skula. However, something that is only brought once a day, that would have the Skula of Ashiras. And Amarava, and furthermore, Rava says, darshaning the psukim over there. So it says, because it says so it says in Amar Rava. So it says Rava. So lo mishkachas sumei rabbanan demayri el da'asim Sheva Levi or Sheva Yisachar. Right, we don't find a Talmud Chacham that goes ahead and paskins, right, except unless he comes from Sheva Levi or Sheva Yisachar. Where do you see that? Levi d'chsiv Yom Mishpechel Yaakov. It says over there. That in the same pasuk of the Ketores, that's why we brought this down. It says over there, right? It says Yom Shpechel Yaakov Yisrael Yisimu Ketores Babcha V'Chilav V'Bechecha. So it says over there by Sheva Levi, right? The beginning part of the pasuk when it says, right, in terms of serving also in the Mikdash, it says over there that he will go ahead and Yom Mishpatecha, he will go ahead and teach the teach the judgments, right? The rules, and it says over there by Yisachar. It says that Yisachar Yaydei Bina Litim Ladas. Mayasa Yisrael, and it says there that the das and bina will be with Yisachar. So you see that the Talmidei Chachamim who are passing come from Shevet Levi and Shevet Yisachar. Yehuda Nami. What about also maybe perhaps Shevet Yehuda? See, the pasuk says Yehuda Mechayke Asuke. So it says Mechayke. So it says over there, right? And he is the one who he gives the laws. So the answer is no. Asuke Shmaitza Liba the Hilchasa Kamina. I'm talking about, right, referring to not just, stating the laws and being in charge, but rather delving into the sugya and paskening. That wasn't necessarily from Sheva Yehuda. That bracha was given over to Sheva Levi and Sheva Yisachar. Fine. Rabbi Yochanan, know the page. Chavav Amad Aleph. Ein mevaisin ala tamid shel ben abayim ella kohen shezacha bo b'shachris zeicha bo arvis. Right, we don't have a separate pious for the tamid shel ben abayim. Now, remember, we till now we've been discussing the tamid. There's two tamids that are brought, one in the morning, tamid shel shachar, and tamid ben abayim, the one in the afternoon. So the one in the morning, we said there was a lottery. They had it, they brought it to the Mizbeach. And the question was there a separate lottery that was done to carry from the ramp up until the Mizbeach, or was it the same Kohanim, right? Then there's also one that's brought in the afternoon. So do you have sort of the same process or not? So according to Rabbi Yochanan, right, he says, no, the people who did in the morning also do it in the afternoon. So it says the same way we have a lottery for the morning Tamid, so too we should have a lottery for Ben Harabayim. So Kitanya he Biktoris. So Gemara says, no, maybe that's referring to the Ketores. The Ketores, in addition, was also separated and brought twice a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, right? And therefore, that's what it means. They have a separate lottery. It's only for the Ketores, but for the Tamid itself, that we say it was the same people. So it says just like we have, right, the a lottery for it. It says the word lo, right, which is lashon zachar. Now tamid is zachar, ketores is nekeva. So since it doesn't say mefaisin law, it says mefaisin lo. It sounds like it's referring to the tamid. The tamid has its own lottery in the morning and its own lottery in the afternoon. So Gemara says no, aim law. Let's say it says law is not referring to the tamid, rather it's referring to only the ketores has two lotteries. We have a brayso that says both. Kashem shemefaisin lo shachris, kach mefaisin lo arvis, and kashem shemefaisin lo shachris, kach mefaisin lo arvis. Just like we have a lottery in the morning for lo and la, for two things, right? For the Ktaras and the Tamid in the morning, so too we have a lottery for the Ktaras and the Tamid of Ben Arbaim, the one in the afternoon. So you see that it is repeated. So Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Chacha b'Shabbos askinu. That is only referring to on Shabbos. Why? Hoel mishmeres mischadshos, right? Because the mishmeres would switch over. In other words, we know that each week a different Mishmar would come, was broken up into each day, right? Each Mishmaros of the 24 Mishmaros, they would break them to Batiyavas would come, right? So when do they switch? When is the new shift? So the new shift comes on Shabbos because the going out group, they go ahead with the chalas, right? They leave on Shabbos. So a new group comes in. So you can't have the same Kohen, right? Who are Kohanim, who are doing the Tamid, also do the afternoon. Why? Because their shift is up, right? They punch the clock. They're punching out at 11 o'clock in the morning. So since the new group is coming in, the new group, they are the ones who do a new lottery in order for the purpose of the Tamid Ben Abai. And what was the according to the Havminas, so Nafishilu Paisos, right? So, in other words, that which we said, in other words, they would understand. So if you have the Havimina was, if they have it, so therefore we don't have 4 lotteries, you have additional lotteries, you have 5 and perhaps even 6 people to carry it. So Gemara says no. So Ma'asikul Mitzafra also the Zachabe Shachar Zachi and the Zachabe Arbi Zachi, right? So we say no, maybe it's one pious, they're just a much larger pious. Right now, you don't just select 13 people. Let's say you select 26 people, right? So you just select more people, but it's only one lottery that was done. So it wasn't that we have an additional lottery, right, where they pick multiple people, right? In other words, it's not a 5th lottery. Rather than having no, it's still 4 lotteries. Rather, we just have just more people selected in order to do the Tamid Ben Arbai. Fine. We are now the 2 dots towards the bottom, 6 lines from the bottom. Harvi chadashim im yishana v'chulei. So we said. So the third one was the ketores, right? Was just for the people who've never done the ketores before, in order for them to have the zechus of doing the, bringing the coals there and having the fire. and burning the incense. So Masnisan Delo Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. Our Mishnah is not like Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tanan we learn in the Mishnah. Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov Aimer Hamala Evarim Lekevesh Humala Oisen Lemizbeach. Right. So the fourth one we said are the people to go ahead and take from the ramp up to the top. So he said our Mishnah is not like Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov because he holds it's the same people that brought it to the ramp. They go back to the ramp and take it up to the Mizbeach. So by committee, what's the machlokes there? Mar Savar B'Rav Amajos Melech. One held that the more people involved, it's a bigger glory to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, let's get more people involved, right? Just like we have psicha here, right? Psicha on a show, we got 3 people, right? If you want, in bar mitzvahs, you can break it into 6 people, right? One person opens here, one person opens there, one person takes out, right? So over there. So 13 or 9 people bring it there, and they leave it on the ramp. The other people take it on top. So there's more people involved. So that's considered to be a kivud for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The other says no. When if we're talking about in the Makam Shechina, then it's not necessarily the more people involved, because then it looks like you're sort of having others do it, and therefore perhaps there is no concept of Berov Am Hajas Melech. Right, because then, as Rashi says, it appears like a tircha, right? It appears like a tircha, and therefore we don't have multiple people. So now that was the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds, we have to remember this because we're going to see a little later on. He holds that there was no 4th lottery for the purpose of taking the ramp upwards. It was the same people from lottery number 2. Those Kohanim return and they bring it from the ramp to the top. Fine. And Amarava. Loi Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Islay the Rabbi Yehuda, the Loi Rabbi Yehuda, Islay the Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Now, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, who took away one of the lotteries, so where are your 4 lotteries? So if you turn back to the top of Chaf Hey Amud Aleph, right? Chaf Hey Amud Beis, right? Right where the mamash, the top line says there Toshma, right? So we saw yesterday. It says Rabbi Yehuda said, right? There wasn't a loyam bais lamachta elakoin shezacha bektares amlazah shimo zacha imi bevachta. Right? He says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, right, there wasn't a separate pious for the machta. Right? There was the offering of the incense and also the bringing of the hot coals there. Right? So is that done by the same person or not? So Rabbi Yehuda says, right, there wasn't a separate pious for that, for the person with to bring the coals. Rather, whoever won it, the person to his side, he would go ahead and take it. So if you hold, right, if you hold like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, right, that there is no separate pious for the people for the ramp to take it up, therefore you're short 1 lottery. So where does that other lottery come in? It must be not like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Because he holds, no, there's a separate lottery for the person to do the machta, to take the coals up. So therefore, that's how you get to the number 4. All right. So in other words, those who taking the ramp will take out that lottery. The 4th lottery is not for the ramp. The 4th lottery is for the coals. And also, if you hold that there's no lottery there, therefore you must not hold like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and therefore you must hold that there was a lottery for the lamp. So in other words, if you're taking away 1 lottery, everyone agrees there was 4 lotteries. You have to either supplement the 4th one. Either it was like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, right, that it was you take the coals, or it was like Rabbi Yehuda that there wasn't a separate one for the coals. Rather, it was to take the stuff up the ramp. Right? Why? Deem Kane, but if you go ahead and you hold like both of them, then you're going to go ahead and be short the amount of lotteries. And if you find a Tana or a Brisa that states somewhere that there were actually 5 lotteries, so who must hold not like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, not like Rabbi Yehuda. In other words, it must hold that there was a separate lottery to take the stuff up the ramp to the Mizbeach, and there was a separate lottery to go ahead and take the coals. And therefore, there will be a total of 5 lotteries, according to that opinion, if you ever found a brisa which stated that. Fine. Naya Mishnah. Mishnah says on the top of Chavav Amud Beis, 2nd line from the top, Tamid Karav Batisha. So the Tamid at times, now we're going to go ahead and actually for the purposes of the next couple Mishnayos, all right, when we listed 13, right, as I mentioned before, the first 4 are really the same for all, right? Who is going to do the shechita of whichever animal is being offered? Who's going to do the zrika, throw the blood? Who's going to go ahead and clear out the menorah? and who's going to go ahead and clear out the mizbeach or clean the mizbeach hapnimi, the inner one, right? Those 4 are granted. Now, and the 4 plus 9 would be a total of 13. So Tamid Kara Batisha, your standard Tamid was offered with 9 people, and therefore the lottery would right with 9 people. Be'asara, or could possibly be 10, Be'chadasar, 11, or B'shnemasar, or 12. Le'pachos v'lo yosef, but it can't never be more or less. In other words, you'll need at least 9, 10, 11, or 12 people. Kesad, how so? Asmo b'test on a regular standard day on a Tuesday, right? Let's say today, right? Today is a standard day. There would be 9. B'chag during Sukkot. So biyad echad, in addition to the 9 standard ones, the 9 actually we just break it down real quick. It was 5 for the animal parts. Right, if you just look at the just Rashi says, right, because chamisha le'evarim, 5 for the limbs, right? One, there was the head and the leg. There was the sides, right? There was the shoulder and the neck. There was the hind and the hind legs, right? Those are 5 right there, right? Now, right, the hind leg of the tail, the front legs, sides, neck, and head, right? So those are the 5, and 1 for the kravim, 1 for the intestines, the innards. That's 6. I'm just reading for the Rashi. Ve'echad the solas is 1 for the flour that was above, the chavitin, and the other one for the chavitin that was brought, that accompanied each carbon. Ve'echad le'yayin, and also the 9th one was for wine, right? So those are 9. So that's your 9 standard one. And sukkos, right? There was also a 10th one. Person who brought the water. Harei kanasara. Bein arbayim. The one that is brought in the afternoon is actually be'achodasar. That's actually 11, right? Who asam batisha? As we said, 9 for the standard tamid. The shnayim, and 2 extras was biyadam shnei gzirei eitzim. 2 other people, each one brought a log for the 2 logs that were set upon the pyre, right? So we'll soon see that there are 2 logs that were brought daily in the afternoon. They were not brought in the morning; they were brought daily in the afternoon. Those are 2 shnei gzirei eitzim, and those are only brought in the afternoon. So therefore, on the standard day, like a Tuesday, right? The morning tamid was always 9, and the afternoon tamid was always 11. The Shabbos, what on Shabbos? So be'echadasar hu atzmo, right? So you say be'echadasar, right? That's 11 on Shabbos, right? Hu atzmo batisha, it itself is 9. Shnai biyadam shnei b'zichei levon, and then 2 of them would be brought. The 2 extra was redone. Each one had a spoon of frankincense to be used to be placed over there on the house. So therefore, there was that was 11. And and then Shabbos that came out during Sukkot. So in addition to the 2 people who had spoons of the Levona, right, which would be 9 plus 2, those 2 people would be 11. And then if it was also Sukkot, there was also be Nisa Chamayim where they would do the water libations, which is done daily on Sukkot. Therefore, there will be a total of 12. Fine.
They brought that Shabbos morning, at the morning tamid or the afternoon tamid?
That was brought, I believe, in the morning. See, Ben Arba, I would say. Yeah, I would say I think the morning, right? Because the afternoon would be the new group that would come in. So yeah, I think it was the morning, right? They would.
But when did they switch to 11? That was in the afternoon.
So
is this the Shnei Bazichei Levona from the week before that was on the shulchan?
So if they come in, right? So if the 2 come in, so it could be
because they put those on the shulchan.
Right.
With bread.
Right. It usually was there because they didn't bring it together. Let me just see if it says anything in notes. Right. See, it's my chalkas over here. Right. Right, the Ritva himself says it was actually awarded to the 14th, the 15th Kohanim, the final ones that carries the wine libation. So yes, it's not clear. I mean, the Gemara is not clear as to what it is. Right, which would be more right. So that was the Ritva over there. So no, the Gemara is not clear as to which side it was, but very good. Fine. So let's see the Gemara. I mean, the Gemara will ask a little bit in this case. So Amar Rabbi Abba, V'Yitema Rabbi Chama, V'Yitema Rabbi Yechran. By the way, the only time they do Nisa Chamayim during the Chag is only in the morning Tamid, not the afternoon Tamid. Where do you see that? We said on Shabbos, during the holidays. The only time when it's 12, because you have 9 plus the 2 Lavona, and the 12th one is the Shemayim. If you think that the water is also broad, then in the regular weekday, since you have the 2 people, it would be 9 plus 2, which would be 11, and then it should be a 12th if you had Nisach Hamayim in the afternoon. It must be the Nisach Hamayim is only done in the morning, and therefore that's why you don't find the Mishnah listing a case of where there's 12 people doing the Tamid daily in the afternoon of Chol Hamoed Sukkos. And that's why it's supposed to prove that it can't be the afternoon, because then you have 13 on Shabbos. You'd have to have 2 more for the long toast. The Lavona, right? You have 2 for Lavona, 2 for right, yeah. Right. So it must be the Lavona, right. So the only question was, right. So it's brought in the morning, but then our question was, okay, so these the ones. I mean, the spoons were brought there daily; they were brought once a week, right? And the challahs, those were going out. So even though they brought it in the morning, it sounds like they were brought in. The challahs, I'm saying, weren't the challahs distributed on the right? So then, when the new challahs were then, they would take the ones that were brought in the morning and use those for the second set of challahs, and then the new kohanim will come in afterwards. Yeah. And Amar Rav Ashi Tanina, we also learn in the price that says the Menasech. They said the person who's doing Nisach Hamayim, they say, hey, show us your hands, right? Show us, make sure we want to see that everything that you're doing is legit. Why? Instead of pouring it where he was supposed to, he poured it on his feet. And they all threw the esrogim at the individual who basically did Nisach Hamayim improperly. He was at Tzeduki, and therefore he didn't want to do Nisach Hamayim, so he washed his feet with it instead of doing, because Nisach Hamayim is more halachah Moshe Sinai. It doesn't say the farish in the pasuk, right? And therefore they all threw their esrogim at them. So Shema Mina, it must be. In other words, why do they have their esrogim? It must be because it was only done during Shacharis, and therefore that's another proof that Nisach Hamayim was only done during Shacharis. So Tanya, Rabbi Shimon. So we learn in a Bryce of Shimon Rechai, Omer Minayla Tamish Ben Abayim Shetoim Shnei Gzirates B'Shnei Kohanim. How do you know? We said earlier as a fact that in the afternoon Ben Abayim there were 11 because he had 9 for the standard Talmud, and 2 people, each one had to bring a log for the Shnei Gzirei Eitzim, right? Shnei Ma'az, the pasuk says V'archu Eitzim. It says and V'archu, right, which is plural, right? V'archu Eitzim, and arrange the wood, right? So arrange the wood for the Tamid, and if any in the Tamid Shel Shachar, if that we don't need a pasuk to tell us to arrange wood for the morning Tamid, because over there it says Bir leHakohen Eitzim B'Boker, right? B'Boker. So it says over there, and the Kohen shall kindle a fire in the morning. So since he's already kindling a fire in the morning, what are you talking about arranging wood? So the arranging wood must be done in the afternoon. The Arech, and that it says. So in that case, we say over there that he goes ahead and he arranges, right? So he arranges the wood, and therefore that Eitzim Boker B'Boker. So and therefore, since we already know, since we already know for the morning, so it says over there you should go ahead and do it in the morning. So therefore, it says it must be for the Bein Arbaim is when you go ahead and place the 2 logs in. So the Gemara says, maybe they're both for the morning. Maybe you go ahead and you bring, you kindle a fire, and then you bring 2 logs, but both referring to the Tamid Shel Shachar. V'amarachmana, Avid, the Hadar Avid, right? Do it twice, right? Bring the wood there, then bring a second time. Basically, do it twice for the Tamid of the morning. Same Cain, name Rakah, Ubir. Let it say kindle twice. Let's say there was the same lashon of beer twice. So it was Aleph, 1 second. Name a kra of beer, right? So when it says let's say it twice. Because of rachman beer, havamina chad in trela. If it would have just said beer twice, kindle it, and it's a lashon of yachid. I would have thought only one person does it. One yes, trelo. Kamash lo the navid chav and navid trey. So we see over here that one person initially kindles, and then 2 people bring the logs because one is lashon yachid, the other is lashon rabim. One is singular, the other one is plural. Same Kane. So let's still say it's in the morning. Same Kane, name it Kra, Ubi or Ubiaru. If you want to just teach the amount of the numbers, just say, right, one is singular, one is plural, but be done. Biar, inami, or v'arach, v'archu, right? Or use the same lashon of arranging, of arranging. Either say kindling or arranging, right? My ubir v'archu. Why does it change it? One time kindle, one time arrange it, and one is singular, one is plural. So shmamina, k'dekamrinon. Just like so, it must be to teach you that no, that's actually talking about two different times. One time is in the morning when you kindle it, and which is done by one person. The other case is two people in the afternoon, Beit Rabbi, and bring the two logs.
So when they're burning in the morning, that's still from
the right, it's right, yeah. And no, they have plenty of wood there, right? There's just on top of the pyre. There's actually two logs. Yes, exactly, right. Because we know that if the fire ever starts to go out, they take wood chips, they bring stuff in to keep the fire going. And Tani Reb Chia says Reb Chia Pais Pamim Yugimel Pamim Yudalet Pamim Tazvav Pamim Tazayim. Right? Says Reb Chia sometimes there are 13, 14, 15, and 16. Right? Why do you see that? Because we just said the Talmud could be 9 through 12. And remember, I said in the beginning that there was 4 extra that we weren't including. Right? Who does the shchita? Who does but no, it was before the bringing of the wood. So you had 4. Plus 9 to 12, you add 4 to that, is basically the numbers here of 13 through 16. We have a price that says Yud Zayin. That must be not like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, who said it's the same people. Rather, the 17th person was basically somebody to bring not like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, who said it was the same Kohanim would do it. Rather, another opinion who holds that somebody else would bring it from the ramp up to the top, and therefore they hold like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that the other person was done earlier, because we know that whoever held like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov did not hold like Rabbi Yehuda, but if he held like Rabbi Yehuda, he didn't hold like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Fine. Naya Mishnah. Ayil. Now we talked about the other animal, the sheep or the lamb that was brought earlier in the morning for the Talmud. Now Ayil. Karev, a larger animal, it's an ayil, it's actually 11. Habasar, the chamisha. Once again, the basar is still chamisha. It's the same 5 pieces that are broken down, right? The head and one of the legs, right? One of the legs and the tails, the sides, the shoulders, and the front legs, right? So that's 5. And va'kravayim, va'solas va'yayin, and the innards, right? The flour and the wine. Those b'shnei masar. Those were brought 2 apiece, right? Because there was larger amounts that had to be brought, right? When it comes to these karbanos, in other words, in the Gemara states, right, in terms of how many yisronim are brought with each karbanos, and as the animal gets larger, also the flour offerings and the oil offerings that accompanies it is larger, right? So therefore, there's 2, 2, and 2 when it comes to 2 for the innards, 2 for the flour, and 2 for the wine. And so therefore 6 plus 5 is 11. And par karev be'esrim ve'arba, and a bull or cow is offered with 24 kohanim. How so? All right, it's going to break it down. Harosh v'regel. Okay, so group number 1 is which limbs? Is the head and the back right leg. Harosh v'regel. Harosh bi'achad v'regel b'shnayim. Right, so the someone has to count along because I can't count and read it, but it says the rosh is 1, right, and the back right leg is 2, a total of 3. Ha'oiketz v'haregel, then you have the oiketz, the tail, and the other leg. Ha'oiketz b'shnai v'haregel b'shnayim, that's 2 and 2, that's 7, right. Ha'chazeh v'hagera, then you have the breast and the neck, right. Ha'chazeh b'yechad, right. The breast is 1, right. V'hagera b'shlosha, right. And that was so we were at 7 plus another 4 is 11, and shtei yadayim b'shnayim, right? Shtei defanos b'shnayim, and then the so we were at 11, right? And then the 2 legs with 2 people, right? And the 2 defanos 2 sides with 2 people, right? That would be a total of right. So the first one, the legs, each one was 1, so therefore there was 11 plus 2 is 13, plus 2 more is 15, right? So 15, right? And once again, a bull offering is larger, and therefore the flour, innards, and the wine, the shlosha. So 15 plus 9 equals 24. Vamed Varmurim says the Mishnah, the Karbanas Tzibur. This is only talking about the Karbanas Tzibur. About the Korban Yachid, but when it comes to Korban Yachid, if one wants to go ahead and do it all, right? It's a lot of work, but he's allowed to go ahead and do it. And have Sheta, and then the skinning of him and the cutting of them are the same. So yeah, we'll stop here. We'll stop at the Gemara here. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, tomorrow Shabbos, Sunday, Mitzvah Shem. We've been doing, huh? All right, we'll do 6:45. 6:45 on Sunday, Mitzvah Shem. Everyone have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys. Bye bye.